Growing up, no one taught me how to handle my money, but I knew from early on that if I wanted something like a new surfboard or the latest snowboard, then I needed to go to work and earn an income to pay for it. So work ethic has never been an issue, but what I did with the money I earned was the issue. I always spent everything I earned, and the more money I made, my lifestyle became more expensive, and I was constantly living paycheck to paycheck. But at the time, I didn't have a clue that this was happening. I was cruising through life without a care in the world until I found myself in a situation where I now had a mountain of consumer debt and no job with 2 kids to feed. This was like an out-of-body experience, as if I was looking in on my life thinking, shit, how did I get myself into this situation? But this was years of wrong choices all finally coming together in one big crash. And what I went through is not uncommon. There are thousands of people making the exact same mistakes as me. So I want to tap into and share 3 areas of our lives that if we can improve on them and become more aware of how they are impacting us. Step number 1 is having an emergency fund. And I found myself in situations where I was literally living paycheck to paycheck. And at the end of the week, we was eating leftover scraps just to make it to the next payday. A recent study done on roughly 1,000 people by Compare the Market showed that 15% of those people had no emergency funds saved, which is such a worrying statistic. And on average, the data shows that Australians have $19,998 saved in their emergency fund. But this figure varies widely with different generations, and on average, Gen Zers, those aged between 18 and 25, only have $1,000 in their emergency fund. With this statistic, it shows just how important it is to have an emergency fund. All it takes is one unexpected expense to pop up, and this can lead to people into my next step. And that's step 2. Consumer debt. I found myself having to use Afterpay at Christmas time simply because I didn't have money saved and didn't have a budget that planned for these expenses. And many of the people that take on consumer debt are those people that need credit cards or buy now pay later apps simply because they can't afford or don't have the money saved for unexpected expenses. And this is exactly what the banks want, because the bank's main source of revenue is the interest payments on credit cards and loans. So the wealthy profit off the unfortunate ones trapped in the cycle of consumer debt and loan repayments. And once you really understand how this system works, you can consciously make the decision to get out of debt and stay out of debt. Because not only does this leave more money in your pocket, but will create less stress as well. So for me, when I was in debt, the best method for me was to use the debt snowball method that is popularized by Dave Ramsey. Doing it this way, you pay the smallest debt off first and work your way through to the largest debt. This creates lots of small wins with a sense of accomplishment, giving you the motivation to continue all the way to the end. So you really have to be aware of what consumer debt is. These are things apart from a mortgage, so credit cards, car loans, buy now pay later apps, iPhone payments, and whatever else you might have with a payment. You can even look at subscriptions too and think about whether you need to cut subscriptions to help pay off consumer debt faster. And lastly, step 3, spend less than you make. It sounds simple, right? But so little people have an emergency fund. It's actually not that simple for many people. And there are many factors as to why this may be the case. For me, it was just lifestyle creep. As my pay increased, so did my lifestyle and the stupid things I purchased. It's like when I have hardly any money, all I am thinking about is having enough to buy certain foods. Then as your income goes up, you start to think about purchasing better clothes, then it's a better car and a bigger rental property. It's like a never-ending cycle of wanting more. So to overcome this, you could maybe limit who you follow on the socials, whether they are influencers flashing their lavish lifestyle, or it could be tech brands pushing new products onto your Instagram feed or YouTube page. By consciously stripping away any social pages that might trigger you to buy things outside of your budget. These can have small compounding effects on your lifestyle. When I did this, it had a ripple-like effect on every aspect of my life. My budget became easier to stick to, how I thought about buying consumer products changed, and I became at ease on the path I was on, and instantly my financial situation started to flourish because I was aware of all the things that would enhance my life and the things that wouldn't. So by learning these 3 steps, it can create a safety buffer for any unexpected expenses, will lead you away from a system designed to keep you trapped in payments and have you totally in control of where your money gets spent. And this, my friends, is truly life-changing.